Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to our Budget Community Portfolio series for the month of May 2024, where every single month I deposit $100 into this brand new portfolio that we created from scratch a little while ago. Then I use that money to invest in stocks every month. Now, as you can see, I do an update video for this on YouTube once a month so that if you want to, you can also follow along with me on this journey of building up a budget portfolio. But if you want to stay completely up to date with every single trade and transaction as soon as I make them, well, you can see all of that by supporting me on Patreon or through the YouTube join button down below, which gives you access to our community Discord. And that's where I post every single move that I make in real time. And it's a lot of fun on there. And by the way, thank you to everyone that is supporting the channel that way, because I really wouldn't be able to do this without you. So thank you so much for that support. It means a lot to me. Now, with all of that said, though, let's go ahead and jump straight into this month's update and take a look at how we've been doing so far with the portfolio and what stocks I purchased over the past month and what I'm looking to do over the next month here in May as well. All right, so here's a screenshot of the account with a total balance of about $630. It might fluctuate a little because I am recording this while the market is still open, but as always, I do make a few custom charts for you, just kind of break everything down, make it a little easier to understand. And so we've now had this account for 6 full months, and after depositing $100 in each of those months, it's left us with $600 deposited versus our current balance of about $630, which means we are currently up about $30 or 5% on our portfolio so far, which I do think is pretty good, especially for a young portfolio like this. It's not too bad. Of course, this also includes our cash balance though, and so if we deduct that from the total, our actual stock gains on our invested stocks, that's actually closer to 7%, which again, I think is pretty decent for a young portfolio like this. Speaking about cash though, our cash balance right now sits at about $166 with a cash ratio of 26%, which I do think is a little low in this weak macro economy where dips and volatility are likely to happen all the time. But in the past, we've actually had that cash ratio much higher. I believe one point it was even as high as like north of 50%, which is just way too much money to be on the sidelines, not really doing anything for us. In fact, it actually loses quite a bit of value because of inflation, which has been running pretty red hot lately. So I tried to put a lot of that cash to work this past month, and I went in pretty heavy into buying stocks. In fact, I actually surpassed like what is supposed to be our monthly budget of $100. I spent even more than that. I believe it was the most active month that we've had on record. So I went in pretty heavy. I bought a lot of stocks. In the future though, I think we can balance that out a little. I would like to get our cash ratio up north of 30% in this weak environment if possible. So right now, again, we're in the 20%. I'd like to get that up to 30%, but we can kind of balance that out in the future. And I'll talk a little bit more of that a little bit later in this video when we go over what my plans are for next month. Anyway, speaking of purchases and all the stocks I bought, let's run through the ones that I purchased here in the past month in April. And so like I said, I did go over budget. I spent about $120 on stocks. Some of these were poll results, by the way. Some of these were the results of polls and surveys where I asked you guys to vote on certain stocks to buy. It's a way that I like to get you guys more involved and have more influence over the portfolio. I'll run through those results in just a second. But as far as what was the largest purchase, well, that was actually Meta, who was a brand new addition to the portfolio this month at $30 worth of purchases there. Then I spent $15 on Microsoft, one of my absolute favorite stocks. In fact, it's actually my largest in my personal portfolio, but not this public one. And then I spent $10 each on VeriSign, which was another new addition. Google, probably my favorite stock in the entire market. SoFi, Amazon, great company. Medtronic, great dividend there. And then $5 each on Tesla, Extra Space Storage, great dividend there as well. Verizon, another great dividend. Pfizer, great dividend. And Alibaba, a little bit riskier there. But yeah, pretty good choices there overall. I'm pretty happy with the wide selection of stocks there and stock purchases. As far as those surveys go though, these were the results of some of the surveys and polls where I asked you guys to choose different stocks to buy in the portfolio. So this one here I posted on YouTube. I asked which brand new stock should we add, and the clear winner was Meta at a whopping 43%. So I added that to the portfolio. I do still want to add some of these other ones in the future too though, because there's some good stocks on here that I like, especially Baidu. So I'll probably run more polls asking this similar question here in the future. But also on YouTube, I asked which of our 5 largest dividend paying stocks should we buy more of, to which you guys voted for Pfizer, just barely ahead of Microsoft. And there's also some other great choices on there too. And then on Discord, they actually added a new feature on Discord where I can post surveys now. So I'll be doing a lot more of that in the future too. But on there on Discord, I asked, should we add a new stock to the portfolio? And 33% of the votes went to VeriSign. So I went ahead and added that one as well. And then finally, back on YouTube, I asked which of these tech stocks on a dip should we buy more of? To which 37% voted for Tesla. That was pretty far ahead of most other options there. Like I said though, overall it was a very active month. Again, the most active on record. And looking at all the purchases here, I am pretty happy with all the moves we made. It's always a lot of fun for me as a long-term investor to be very active in the market. So it was just cool. It was awesome to be able to buy so many different stocks, and doing all the polls and surveys. All of that was a lot of fun, getting your guys' feedback. Anyway, with all of that in mind though, let's now take all these purchases that we made in April and let's plug all the numbers into the portfolio to see which stocks are our largest, which are our smallest, and how much I'm either up or down on each position. It's going to be very interesting to look at. And I'll also share what I plan to do in the coming month here as well in May. All right, so here's a screenshot of every single stock that I own in the portfolio. The ones in green are positive, the ones in red are negative. I'll just go ahead and convert this into a pie chart because this is a huge amount of stocks that we have here now. It's probably going to be hard to see on this chart here. So let's convert these into a pie chart. It'll be a little easier to see. And yeah, overall the portfolio is starting, I would say, to take great shape after 6 months now of constructing it, with Google being the largest stock at almost a fifth of the entire value there. And I'm totally fine with that. I know that's high, but I'm totally fine with that because Google is my absolute favorite stock in the entire market right now. And it's probably the one that I have the most confidence in long term. And I feel it's a very safe and reliable stock. So I want that to be very large. I want that to be kind of a foundation. And then Amazon and Microsoft coming in at stocks number 2 and number 3. I love to see that. My top 3 stocks are now some of, in my opinion, the safest and most well-run companies in the world. So I want those to be the foundation. I love to see that there. From there, though, it does get a little riskier. SoFi and Pfizer rounding off the top 5. I'd probably want to replace that with something a little safer like Meta, maybe Medtronic. Those are very close there and could easily kind of jump into the top 5 if I had a little more of those. And there's also a lot of other great stocks on here that I could also be buying more of, like Extra Space Storage, NextEra Energy. Those are all stocks that I feel are pretty good. There's also great dividend stocks all among this portfolio. All of these here are dividend stocks. A lot of great choices there. Probably the only stock that I think is a little higher risk is Alibaba. That one can be a little higher risk just because it is a Chinese stock. But apart from that, I would say that this is a very strong looking portfolio here that we've been building up. A basket of amazing companies with strong businesses, high growth potential, and even some great dividends too. So I'm really happy with it so far. As far as how much I'm either up or down on each of these positions though, well, it looks like Disney and Nvidia are currently our 2 best performers, up around 30% each. However, those are also 2 of our smallest holdings, so I wouldn't really put too much emphasis on that. Instead, I think it's a bigger deal that Google and Amazon, our 2 largest stocks, are also 2 of our best performers, and I really love to see that. That adds a lot of safety and stability to the portfolio, makes me feel a lot better about it. Apart from that though, just overall, lots of really well-performing stocks here, and I'm happy to see that. But actually what really excites me is seeing several stocks in the red too, because that means that we'll have plenty of great choices to shop around on in May. It's actually my favorite thing to do, is to buy heavier into stocks that I'm actually down on. So seeing some of my favorites like Microsoft, EXR, Meta, and more down in negative territory, you know, as a long-term minded investor, that gets me really excited. I love to go in and buy more of those on the dips while they're down and build up larger positions. So I'm pretty excited about that. Now, speaking of which, I did add a fresh new $100 for the May budget, which rose our cash ratio from 26% up to now 36%. Again, though, I do wish that that cash ratio was just a tad bit higher so that I would have more spending power here in May so I could buy more of my favorite stocks. But at around 36%, 36%. I think that that's a relatively good area. That should still leave us some room to make some decent sized purchases here in May. I do just have to be a little careful with it. Want to spend a little less than what we did in April. April was a record month of spending. Got to bring that down a little bit because we want to make sure that we do have some cash reserves there just in case market takes a dip, a correction, a crash in the future, anything like that. We do want to make sure we do have cash to go in and buy heavier on those opportunities. So don't want to go too crazy in May, but like I said, there are plenty of stocks that I want to be buying more of. I also want to just be buying more of our best performers, some of our most stable and most reliable stocks. Google, Amazon, want to keep building those up. The top 3 largest holdings now with Microsoft, want to build up that foundation, but then also want to add more to some other stocks. Like I said, Medtronic, Meta, EXR could be great stocks to bump up into the top 5. And then all the other stocks I talked about already, some of the stocks in the red. There's just so many great choices. So we're going to be doing a lot of buying. There's going to be a lot of activity here in May still. And I will be sure to also post some surveys and some polls on YouTube, on Patreon, on Discord, so I can make sure you guys are involved as well, and I can get your feedback and see what stocks you guys want to buy. Let me know down in the comment section too. Is there any stocks you want to see in the community portfolio? Let me know down there. I'll be reading every comment. I'll try to respond to them too. And I want to get your influence into this portfolio as well. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this month's update. Thanks again for all your support. If you do want to go above and beyond, like I said before, you can support me on Patreon, on YouTube memberships, or you can even give SoFi a try with my link down in the description. You get $25 absolutely free. And I love using SoFi. I use it for this portfolio. It's one of my favorite platforms. I highly recommend it. And you get $25 for free just for giving it a try. So I highly recommend it. Link is in the description. Anyway, thanks again for all your support, my friends. It means so much to me. I hope that you are all doing well. And I will catch you in the next video. All right, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.